Pole position claimed by man of the moment Serge Davis, who's won the last 2 rounds in Class C, but he's very sideways off the start as the lights went green there. That's going to enable John Fletcher to get up alongside him, and indeed Lance Rochdale does just that. He's right with him as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. I don't think John's going to find a way around the outside of him on that first lap. Serge Davis then looking as though he's going to be in the lead as they go up towards Druid. Somebody's made a real mess there. That was Trinter's John Chappell makes a mess of Paddock on the first lap, but it is Serge Davis who leads. John Fletcher is there in second place as the Class C and D cars stream round Druids. Well, nearly all of them stream round Druids. 2-1-2. Ty Watkins didn't quite manage to get it right along Cooper Straight Lane here. Remember, Grand Prix circuit race this, so they go left-handed through Surtees and up onto the Grand Prix circuit, and there's all sorts of action in the middle there. 306 getting the best of that was Dave Lentle from Class D, but back to the head of the field where Serge Davis starting from pole position. Has got John Fletcher about 7 or 8 lengths behind him. Very good run there, quite high up the field. 303. Trevor Message in the other of the 356s. He's running very quickly here at Brands Hatch this weekend as the field coming out onto the curves a bit wide under the bridge, back into the bowl of the short circuit here at Brands. This man, Serge Davis, in the pick-up least prepared car, already comfortably, if 7 or 8 lengths is comfortable. Well, in Porsche racing, 7 or 8 lengths is comfortable enough. John Fletcher, the man in second place at the moment. He said a while ago that he'd been developing new settings for the car, and of course that is one of the hallmarks of this championship. An awful lot of amateur racers who don't have time to go testing during the week, so all their testing is actually done at the circuit during qualifying. Third place at the moment, 2-1-4 is Andy Monaghan. Fourth is 203 Kevin Joynson, leading this group down. And there in the pits, started so well in this race, 303 Trevor Messett is rejoining in his left-hand drive, 356. Another spinner there on Cooper Straight is 201-4 Andy Monaghan, and somebody off at Druids there, 225, not the first time he's had a problem this season. That's Ashley Ferniehoff in his 924. No problems here at Brands Hatch today though for the driver of 226, that's Serge Davis. He's 911 SC leading the 180 horsepower Class C in this race overall, with a fairly comfortable margin now over second place John Fletcher. It looks as though Fletcher isn't going to be able to find any further speed to challenge Serge Davis, who looks as though he's on his way to a hat-trick of wins, and that will do his points advantage in this class a fair amount of good. Under the Shell Bridge as we catch a glimpse of Fletcher chasing him through, and the rest of the top 10 runners pretty evenly matched at the moment. Still nose to tail train of them on the Grand Prix circuit, being led there by Kevin Joynson, that group at present. At the back of that group, the man who led it earlier on, Andy Monaghan, who slipped down to the tail end of that in an earlier battle, and I that was going to be, and it was formation spinning there by Kevin Joynson at the head of that group, and Hugh Boulder Jones as well. So they slipped down, so the closeness of that group will remain no longer. They'll be much more split up the next time we see them. John Fletcher's really pulled out all the stops in the last couple of laps of this race. They're on the final lap now. He's got a couple of lengths between himself and Serge Davis. Can he possibly do it? They're going under the Shell Bridge now, back out through the sweeping right-hander onto Brabham Straight. John Fletcher really charging hard. He's got the headlights ablaze. He might get a quicker run out of Clearways onto the top straight. It looks as though he can do it. Tries to get up alongside him, but he cannot quite manage it. So Serge Davis takes the checkered flag for a hat-trick of BFGoodrich wins. John Fletcher is second, Mike Clapham third, and in Class D, Keith Norman yet again claims victory from Dave Lentle, with Pete Chambers coming through to third place. So with 3 championship rounds to go, Barry Williams leads Class A from Robin Gray by 20 points, Bob Berridge Class B from Vic Ferguson by 24 points, Serge Davis leads Class C from Paul Edwards by 26.5 points, and Keith Norman has a massive 47-point advantage over Dave Lentle in Class D. And we stay with Classes C and D for our first look at the Screen Sport Hayfisher race day a week later at Silverstone, with Dave Lees on the outside of the front row of the grid. And the Sanderstead man's looking forward to a good race.
Yes, I got a good qualifying time this time, and it's just a question of beating Paul into the first bend. which is difficult because he gets off the line very well. So I'm quite happy to follow him for about 6 or 7 laps, and then I'll get him on lap 8 and just hope it's a 10-lap race.
After a run of not such good results, pole position man Paul Edwards seems to have solved his problem.
That's the secret of pole position today, this new drink from Lucozade. And what's more, Fred Matthews can't do anything about it because the RAC haven't yet banned this from our championship, but I reckon on today's performance, when they find out, I will be excluded from the results for drinking this.
Are you putting it in the tank though, or drinking it?
Well, I'm drinking it because once you put it in the tank, it can be adjudicated against. But once it's inside your body, I'm sure Fred is going to stick a rubber tube in the places that he needs to do to retrieve it.
So with 10 laps of the Silverstone National Circuit, the prospect, David Lees in car number 201, comes along to take up his position on the outside of the front row of the grid. Hugh Ball-Jones is on the inside of row 2. And they're around pole position man Paul Edwards, who we just see out of the right-hand side of the screen. In car then with David Lees, looking for a good result. He knows he's not a particularly good starter, certainly compared with Paul Edwards. And oh dear, what an absolutely lousy start that cut. That must have been because he wasn't actually concentrating on what would be in the right place. I don't know, but David Lees doesn't make the best of the start. There's some contact behind him between 214, which is the 911 of Andy Monaghan, and alongside him Serge Davis, all very closely matched as they go up into the first time through the right-hander, and 1 or 2 people a little bit too closely matched. 271 Peter Chatin, 306 that's Dave Lentil there. He's been a front runner in Class D this year. They're both out of action as we return to the lead battle with Paul Edwards in the ascendancy at the moment. David Lees is second, Serge Davis is third, behind him is Andy Monaghan, then John Fletcher. The rest of the field streaming through. Beckett's behind them onto the... And we've got more problems here at Beckett's 228. Who's that coming? John Fletcher. He will be cross about that because... and we ignore him for the moment as we go back to this terrific lead battle. David Lees coming through to take the advantage at the beginning of the complex of corners at Woodcote in the left-hander there. David Lees takes the lead, but Paul Edwards tries to get it back. Serge Davis goes right round the outside of everybody, and they've slowed right down, and that must mean we've got a red flag, I would assume, for the incident at the first corner. There is the red flag indeed, and this is going to mean a restart. There won't be an aggregate result for this, of course, because it's right on the very first lap of the race. These two cars, although as you can see they're actually off the racing line, I assume that the clerk of the course deemed that they would be in a dangerous position should anyone else go off at that corner. So we get a restart. Is David Lees going to get it right this time? You can hear the engine notes rising. Yes, he does indeed. A cracking start this time from David Lees. So without doubt, the benefits of that restart very much his. Andy Monaghan, a very good start there from the third row of the grid as they get to Cox for the first time on this start. It's David Lees that leads into the first right-hand of the circuit. This, of course, will be the benefit also of John Fletcher, who we saw have that drama at Beckett's in that earlier start. So two drivers there benefiting a little from the restart. Streaming through the left-hander at Maggots, hard on the brake for Beckett's. Lees it is who leads. Paul Edwards is second, Serge Davis third, Andy Monaghan is fourth. It's for the 911 streaming through the right-hander onto the top of the club straight, coming down under the Foster's Bridge there, along one of the few parts of the national circuit which will be modified during the winter when the big Grand Prix circuit modifications are made. Into the left-hander at Brooklands. Lees leads. Second is Paul Edwards. Third is Serge Davis. Fourth is Andy Monaghan still through the right-hand element, and then the second of the right-handers. There's a little left-hand flick there first, then into the tight right-hander and back onto what many people will always still call Woodcote. Big problem there, out onto the gravel. He's going to get collected surely. No, everybody manages to get round. Paul Goldstein there. It's his first spin of the year either, and a challenge for second place. Serge Davis is right alongside Paul Edwards as they come up the Cox this time, but no, Edwards defends the corner. So David Lees leads. Edwards is second. Serge Davis tries to find a tighter line on the exit of Cox, but can't, so he's now on the inside line as they go out towards Maggots. These three pulling away from the rest of the field really quite quickly now. Serge Davis certainly looking quicker than Paul Edwards because he's really all over the back of him. And yes, there's the Pointy Vex's move. Up into second place then 226 Serge Davis. Third is Paul Edwards. with David Lee's Dowkins watching the battle behind him, hoping that they get heavily involved one with the other. And there, John Chappell, in the very vividly liveried MTV Telecom car, pulls off into pit lane. Lead changes. David Lees loses the lead to Serge Davis under braking for the left-hander at Brooklands, and fights back. Retakes the... No, he doesn't quite. Gets his nose alongside the rear wing of Serge Davis's car, but can't quite find his way past. To see how complex that complex of corners is, so to speak. Not only are you fighting to keep the car on a decent line, you're also changing gear all the time, flicking through those little corners. So it's a very demanding part of the circuit. David Lees manages to hold on to his second place there, even though Paul Edwards is now tucked right in behind him and looking as though he may. Yes, he pulls up for a tighter line at Copse, and no, he can't do it. David Lees closes that door very firmly to make sure Paul Edwards can't find a way past. So Serge Davis is our new leader, David Lees second, Paul Edwards in third place. As we look back to see Paul Goldstein there in the striped 911 recovering from his earlier spin. We saw an awful lot of cars get past him. He's got to get past all of those if he's going to get back anywhere near the leading group. A little bit of body damage there showing on 327, which is Paul Hogarth in Motorsport Porsche 924. Very close battles there always are in these Porsche races, of course, because of the power division of the classes, which means the power outputs of these cars is as close to identical as is possible. Certainly doesn't look it, though, perhaps in the case of Paul Edwards, who's really coming alongside David Lees very quickly indeed. He got a much better run out of Woodcote onto the straight, and it's paid off, because as they reach the breaking point for Copse, Edwards is on the inside. He's got the tighter line and he's up into second place. Andy Monaghan there was lying in fourth place amongst the roof of his 911. He's out of the race now as we go back to the leading trio, and they really are head and shoulders above the rest of the field in this 10th round of the BFGoodrich series. The next closest man to them there being number 203, a rather lonely fourth place for Kevin Joynson. Fifth is John Fletcher. Sixth behind him is Malcolm Sargent. So Fletcher will be very pleased indeed that this race had a restart after his problem at Beckett's. And there's the lead change as Paul Edwards takes the lead from Serge Davis under braking for Brooklands, but there's a bit of contact. Serge Davis unable to get on his brakes quick enough as Paul Edwards got a little bit slow. Perhaps he missed a gear coming out of the left-hander there. A little bit of contact though, so Serge Davis goes back into the lead. Paul Edwards is second, and David Lees is third. Battles all the way down the field there. 308 Peter Chambers and 327 Paul Hogarth was 94. Get it a little bit wrong, and on to the final lap. This leading trio go head and shoulders above everyone else. Very much the class of the race, these three at Silverstone this weekend. And Serge Davis it is who leads into the final lap. Paul Davis is in second place behind him, third, and we're in car with the third place man David Lees. Up towards the left-hander at Maggots. Edwards has got the tighter line on the inside. Edwards takes the lead under braking for Beckett's. Serge Davis takes the lead back, so we see the change there. And Paul Edwards takes the lead back as they go through Beckett. And up into second place comes David Lees. Edwards runs very wide over the curbing there. Serge Davis looks to me, certainly from the perspective, as though he's got the lead, but no, he hasn't. Up there is Paul Edwards in the lead. We're in car with David Lees, desperately trying to find a way past Serge Davis. Will it happen under braking, under the Foster's Bridge, into the left-hander at Brooklands? Well, we're braking that bit later. Can we find our way past? No, we can't. There's a bit of contact. Paul Edwards is over there, maintaining his lead. We go up into second place. What happened to Serge Davis? Is he going to reappear in the right of our screen? No, he doesn't. So David Lees has got second place as we go through the right and left flick into the final right-hander at the end of that complex of corners, running a little bit wide onto the curb. Paul Davis, and number 202 it is, who's going to claim victory very much back on the works. Second place is David Lees, just ahead of them there, the 356 of Caroline Lucas, and Hugh Ball-Jones comes across the line there just in the background in third place, just ahead of the recovered Serge Davis. Confirmation then, Edwards, Lees and Ball-Jones, first, second and third in Class C, while Keith Norman claims his 10th win of the season in Class D.
It was a fairly straightforward. I didn't have to race anybody, I just had to keep the car safe, you know.
And what about this championship? Is it one that's really enjoyable to take part in?
Oh, I think the cars are very exciting to drive. Because they've got road tyres, they tend to sort of roll a lot. You know, you're working very hard. you don't actually look as though you're going very fast from a spectator's point of view, but there's a lot of work to do in the cockpit. And you need a different type of driver skill, you know, because they're heavy, and you know, it's very exciting. The racing's close, you know, it can get too close sometimes, as today, but it's good fun.
Well, did you drink it or did you put it in the tank?
I had 2 tins.
One in the tank, one down here.
No, both in me.
It was a good race though, wasn't it? I mean, it was a real battle.
Oh dear me. The cars were so equal here, it's unbelievable. In different parts of the circuit, Serge seems to have brakes that are incredible. He brakes from 100 yards back and overtakes the cars, which should be the other way around. And then we seem to get away into the distance, and Dave dropped back, and then the next thing we know, all of a sudden Dave's up and challenging Serge, and they had a spin at the end which left me a bit of space, which I was quite grateful for, because by then the tyres had started to get a bit hot, and I was able to reel in the last couple of laps.
In the A and B race, pole position man for Class B, Bob Berridge, has found a new secret too.
My hair was parted on the wrong side this morning, so it upset the balance of the car, and the mechanics altered the parting and altered the styling slightly, and I got a much more better grip balance in the car. So yes, it has made a substantial difference.
We can look forward to it then in the race.
Yeah, I've got a perm booked for in the morning, so that should really make me fly. Everything should be okay.
Of the Class A runners, Mike Jordan's 9.44 is 4th quickest, behind Barry Williams, Tony Dron and Robin Gray, and Mike can't really understand why.
We've been going very, very well in testing. We were a bit disappointed yesterday not to be on the front row, but I think the first 8 cars are covered by about a second, so I think we can be in with a good shout in the race.
What advantage does the 911 type car have over yours here?
Well, around this particular sort of circuit, you've got 2 long straights that are precipitated by 2 very sharp corners, so the traction of the 911s really does help them. Our car's better in the fast corners, but the problem of keeping it on boost out of the slow corner, balancing it against the traction is quite hard.
And the season overall?
We've had a very good run of races for the last 4 or 5 races now. We struggled a little bit at the beginning, but now the car's sorted, it's going very well. I doubt if we can catch Barry for Class A champion, but I think we could finish 2nd in class.
Looks as though Mike Jordan's found his special secret as well, tiptoeing round Silverstone, eh? Well, as he says, Barry Williams is a clear leader in Class A, but Robin Gray, Brian Robinson and Jordan himself are covered by only 1.5 points after 9 rounds in the championship. So it's going to be a very important race for those 3 here at Silverstone.
And we have one gap at the back of the grid where we are without...
On the grid then, ready for the start, and as the lights flash to green, a good start by Tony Dron. To the right of the screen, a good start by Barry Williams. The blue flash on the bonnet of number 9 with Barry Williams at the wheel. And who's going to be into Cox first? Well, there's nothing to choose between them, but Barry Williams wins. Tony Dron in 2nd place as a charge through Cox. We're in car with Bill Taylor in 4th place, 3rd. Directly ahead of us with the sun glinting on the rear screen. That's number 11, Robin Gray. We're keeping well in contact with him at the moment, and look at Tony Dron. He was looking at the inside as they approach Beckett, so he's having a look at the outside. Mike Jordan coming around the outside of Bill Taylor to move up into 4th place as they go through Beckett. There's Steve Kevlin in number 1, the open-top cabriolet front runner in Class B throughout the season, and of course last year's overall champion. But back with the lead battle, Tony Dron under braking, comes under the bridge, dives round the inside of Barry Williams, but Williams fights back. Can Barry hold on to his lead? It looks to me as though he can. Well, a superb bit of motoring there from the wily and experienced Barry Williams, as off goes 14. Didn't actually make contact, as you can see from Prime at the back. He's had problems before that, of course, Michael Corner. But the lead battle sees Barry Williams still managing to defend his advantage at the moment from Tony Dron. But Dron is all over the tail end of him, coming alongside as they come through Maggots. Can he get on the brakes later than Barry Williams? Barry's got the tighter inside line, so Tony has to give best through Beckett this time round. So Barry Williams leads, Tony Dron is in 2nd place, Mike Jordan is in 3rd, Robin Gray is 4th. Behind him, we're on the car with Steve Kevlin in the cabriolet in the Class B lead battle. as they come up towards Beckett's, but once again, Tony John repeats the manoeuvre of a lap or two ago, dives down the inside, and this time he does take the lead. But Barry Williams fights back, nearly gets alongside him as they come to the second element of the complex. Tony John is holding on hard, a little bit of sideways there. Oh, Barry gets the nose back alongside the tail of Tony John's car. It looks as though the hard season of development that Tony John and the AFN Porsche team have put in to this Carrera 2 is beginning to pay off as he takes the lead. Barry Williams is in second place, and already Tony John is edging away from Barry. We go back in car with Steve Kevlin. Ahead of us is the Class B leader Bob Berridge, and look, oh there, a little bit of contact. I'm not sure whether that was contact, to be honest, or whether it was the rumble strips. Either way, up into second place in Class B has gone 127, which is Vic Ferguson, demoting the cabriolet of Steve Kevlin to third place. Super battle building up there as we go back to the lead battle with Tony John currently ahead of Barry Williams. Third is still Mike Jordan, although he was getting very sideways. You could see him fighting at the wheel there as they went through Beckett. So that's Mike Jordan's developing some tyre dramas here on what is proving to be a very warm day at Silverstone. Back in car with Bill Taylor, coming under the Foster's Bridge, braking for the complex. We're in 6th place at the moment as we've got directly ahead of us and just holding us off the EWP car of Brian Robinson, and we get past that, and then we're in touch there with Robin Gray, and just ahead of Robin Gray is Mike Jordan. So Bill Taylor having a cracking race here at Silverstone, lying now in 5th place, and just in the distance you can see the two white cars, the Carrera 2 and the older 911 of Barry Williams. Tony John in the lead, Barry in second place there, just braking for Cox. Taylor to the right, and Brian Robinson retakes. No, he doesn't. I thought he was going to retake that 5th place. I think he's going to on the exit of Cox. But Bill Taylor fighting not only the car, the curb, but also Brian Robinson, but hasn't quite got enough go there to hold on to 5th place. So Brian Robinson slips back up into 5th, but Bill Taylor certainly determined not to give up here. Back to the Class B lead battle. Bob Berridge at 107 is leading Class B at the moment. Second in the class is Vic Ferguson there, and looking as though he might be in a position to challenge for the class lead. And third in the class still the cabriolet. Overall leader Tony John. Opposite knocking his way through the complex there with Barry Williams behind him. Then the third place battle there with Mike Jordan holding on to the place at the moment from Robin Gray, with Brian Robinson 5th, 6th is Bill Taylor, 7th behind Bill is the second 944 in the race. That's the Chris Banks car. Now have a look at these two along the straight, see whether the 911 can find its way past the 944. No, it can't. So Mike Jordan still defending his third place against Robin Gray as they get to Cox once again. Opposite knock from Mike Jordan there, correcting the 944's attitude as it goes through Cox. Barry Williams unable to find a way past the race leader Tony John at present. Brian Robinson now in 5th place, looking as though he's beginning to pull away just a little bit from Bill Taylor, perhaps to get onto terms with Mike Jordan and Robin Gray ahead of him as they come under the bridge into the braking area for Woodcote. The whole thing closes up once again as they come into the Woodcote complex. Robin Gray looking as though he's just about poised now to find his way past Mike Jordan. And with the race leader on the final lap then, Tony John in number 7 comes out of Woodcote to take the checkered flag, having had a rather quieter life in the closing stages. Barry Williams is second. Here's the Class B battle with the lead being retaken there by Bob Berridge from Vic Ferguson, with Steve Kevlin still there in 3rd place behind them. Terrific battle has been raging throughout this race in the 207 brake horsepower division Class B. Spinner there is number 10. Nick Krause is the only other Carrera 2 in the race. And Bob Berridge leads Class B across the line. Second is Vic Ferguson, although he gets a 10-second penalty for a jump start, which promotes Steve Kevlin and Dave Warnock up the Class B order. So confirmation of the results then: John, Williams and Jordan 1st, 2nd and 3rd in Class A. Berridge, Kevlin and Dave Warnock 1st, 2nd and 3rd in Class B. Barry Williams then still leads Class A from Robin Gray, with Mike Jordan moving up to 3rd. Bob Berridge Class B from Vic Ferguson and Steve Kevlin. In Class C, Serge Davis leads from Paul Edwards and David Lees, and Keith Norman from Dave Lentle and Paul Hogarth in Class D. And all those class leaders are now confirmed as class champions, but the places are still to be fought for. Tony Dron was a delighted winner.
It was close all the way, but you wicked man. I think my car's got a bit of an advantage over Barry's here. Smooth surface, it really goes well with the ABS brakes, so I could outbrake him at the end of the straight, and I had a slight advantage. Where's he gone? Oh boy. And I think the ABS brakes were definitely an advantage. But my God, it was close. When I saw him go sideways on the last lap, I thought, right, we're safe at last. Because it was real pressure the whole way until then. There were several times I tried to pass him, it couldn't quite ease by. I made one mistake at Beckett's, and I thought, you better not do that again, you might lose the place now. But the next lap you did the same thing, so that was even.
The traditional end-of-season party for the BFGoodrich Porsche competitors is a 1-hour two-driver race, and this year it took place at Donington Park. It was a rather murky day as the cars lined up on the grid, with the Mike Walker, Mike Jordan 944 on pole position, and Steve Kevlin and Tony Dron sharing the 944 Cabriolet alongside. And at the start, it's the Cabriolet which makes a very, very good start indeed, coming up towards Redgate for the first time, but there's a 911 in there as well, which is Nigel Corner's car, which might take the lead as they go through Redgate for the first time, but no, it's the Cabriolet leading onto the top of the Craner curves. Everyone safely, no, I spoke too soon, everybody not quite safely through Redgate for the first time. That was the 911 there of Caroline Lucas, which she's sharing with Dave Lentle. 127 there, that's Vic Ferguson at the wheel of his car, but Nigel Corner leads as they come out of Coppice under the Dunlop Bridge for the first time. Nigel in the 911 leading from Steve Kevlin at the wheel of the Cabriolet. Mike Jordan has started the 944, he's sharing with Mike Walker through the S's onto the Grand Prix circuit. In car with Steve Kevlin and following Nigel Corner. Along up toward and overtaking him indeed as they go through the right-hander at McLean's onto the uphill run towards Coppice. New leader then is the Cabriolet with Steve Kevlin at the wheel. Nigel Corner tucked right in behind in second place. Nigel will be handing over his 911 later in the race to the fellow historic racer Valentine Lindsay. We're in car with Andy Monaghan. We're tucked right under the rear wing of John Fletcher's car, and we're coming uphill. We're braking for the right-hander at Coppice. Some very close competition indeed in this end-of-term race. No championship points, of course, at stake, therefore everyone thoroughly enjoying themselves. Cabriolet still leads. Nigel Corner there now demoted to second place, coming out of the Melbourne hairpin, and he's got a problem. Nigel Corner slows right down, emerging from the Melbourne hairpin, pulls off towards the grass. I don't know whether he's actually on the grass, flashes his lights, not sure why that should be, perhaps conveying a message in case anybody's looking in that direction, but he's out of the race. Into the pits goes Mike Jordan, who will be handing over to Hugh Ball-Jones. This car is still leading the race, the Cabriolet with Steve Kevlin at the wheel, and he storms off downhill towards the old hairpin. 127, another front runner, the Ferguson father and son outfit, as off at the old hairpin, having a hard charge. That's the Jamie Swanson-Rice car, which has come up well from a tail end of the grid position. Back in car once again with Andy Monaghan, still battling away with John Fletcher's 911. Fletcher very firmly closes the door as they go around Goddard to say, oh no, you don't come past me just yet. The evenly matched pair continue their battle as race leader Steve Kevlin in the Cabriolet comes into the pit lane, indicates comes through the rear approach to the pit lane. So this car, number 12, with Trevor Lewis at the wheel, he'll be handing over a little later to Tom Segru. He takes the lead in the 1-hour two-driver race here at Donington Park, as we see the Cabriolet in the pits. Tony Dron getting in to take over from Steve Kevlin if they have a nice quick pit stop, he'll be out and running and will be able to, as the leader just passes us now, there comes Tony Dron up the pit lane. Shouldn't be a problem for him to perhaps retake the lead when the new race leader at the moment, number 12, comes in for its driver change. So there's obviously a little bit of an unsettled period at this time of the race until the lap charts settle down again. Out comes Tony Dron, rejoins, probably no more than about 10 to 12 seconds or so down on the new race leader. This car with Trevor Lewis at the wheel, battling with the Steve Kevlin, Dave Warnock car. Of course, Steve Kevlin taking over 126 from Dave Warnock after he came out. Steve Kevlin now at the wheel of that car, tucked right in behind number 12, and this basically now the lead battle for the race. And off goes 311, that's the Maserati family 911. Oh, very good indeed, Dorothy. Gathers it all back together again. Problem for Tony Dron. What is happening here? Tony Dron in the cabriolet coming in very, very slowly, waving everybody past him. Very politely indeed, as he comes very slowly down the rear approach road to the pits. Tony Dron's got a drama. All that good work by Steve Kevlin in the early part of this two-driver race is all to naught. Lord, more drama here as well. That's fire. Yes, under the tail of the 911 there, indicating to the left to go into the pits, as the sign says. I wonder if he knows it's on fire. Marshall's sprinting down to make sure that they're ready. And oh, look how quickly the Jaguar fire tender is in action, sprinting along the pit lane to pull up alongside that car with, I assume it's a bit of oil burning perhaps on it. And that's the car that's being shared by Paul Edwards and Keith Norman. That'll be taking no more part in this race, I'm fairly certain. And with the pit stops now completed, the race has settled down and it's got a new leader at the moment, number 126, that's Steve Kevlin, having taken over that car from Dave Warnock. He's got one or two slower cars which he's lapping as he goes down to the Melbourne hairpin. There with the spotlights on is the second place car, number 12, Tom Segru, now having taken that car over from Trevor Lewis. But it's Kevlin who leads now. He's also the man who led in the other car earlier in the race in the cabriolet. Round Goddard they go, and very, very wide run Steve Kevlin. Nearly loses it on the grass. He went right over the curbing onto the grass on the exit of Goddard. That may well prove to have been a bit of a mistake. You can see ducking and diving behind him Tom Segru. Segru's alongside. They come into Redgate, and can Segru get that lead back? Yes, he does. So Tom Segru retakes the lead. Steve Kevlin tucked right in behind him as they go through Redgate onto the top of the Craner curves and down towards the old hairpin, coming towards the closing stages of the race now, and Tom Segru holding on for grim death to this lead. Right up, just see how close Steve Kevlin gets under braking from the old hairpin. May not look like a hairpin when you see it on a movie, but if you're driving round it, believe me, it's a very tight corner indeed. Under Starkey's Bridge they go with 911s strung out ahead of them. They've got headlights on, well, at least Tom Segru's car has got the lights on to warn everybody that he's in the lead, and he wants everybody to give him as much space as he can. Kevlin runs very wide once again, and that, I think, will be Steve Kevlin's last chance to take the lead back in this race. He ran very wide there, lost a lot of time out on the grass, and that, I'm pretty certain, means that Tom Segru, short of a mechanical drama, is not going to have a problem. He's lost a good 6 lengths on Tom Segru now, has Steve Kevlin, and that is going to have cost him dear. Along the straight, under the Dunlop Bridge, past the Donington Exhibition Centre, car number 12 comes down to the S's once again, onto the Grand Prix loop through that left and right on the final lap now, coming down towards the Melbourne hairpin. He must be checking in his mirrors to make sure that Steve Kevlin isn't going to come up with some absolutely last-ditch stands. There's Kevlin to the left of the picture, Tom Segru in the centre, through the Melbourne hairpin, through that right-hander, down through the gearbox, uphill. Need a lot of torque to get uphill out of that corner quickly, as Steve Kevlin got more than has Tom Segru. Doesn't look like it. Into Goddard for the final time. Steve Kevlin then about 4 or 5 lengths behind at the finish, not much more than a second. So Tom Segru and Trevor Lewis win the last Porsche race of the year, the non-championship two-driver 1-hour race. From Dave Warnock, Steve Kevlin second, third Mike Walker, Mike Jordan, fourth Bryson Davis, fifth Rice and Swanson, and sixth Bol Jones and Jordan. Class C champion for the year is Serge Davis.
It's been a great season actually. I've had a very good car, well prepared, and everything's gone right for me.
What's the championship mean to a class competitor such as yourself?
What does it mean?
Yeah, in the terms, I mean, why do you do it?
Why do I do it?
Yeah.
Basically because I enjoy it. It's for the fun of it, really, but it's always nice to be able to win as well.
And why Porsches?
Because I'm in the Porsche business. I've been breaking Porsches for about 6 or 7 years now, and building them, and that's it. Just love them.
You just love them?
Yes, I do.
Why are they such a special car?
Because they're different from everything else, and I think it's the only car that you can race for a complete season without any major rebuilds or anything like that. The engine I've got in my car is 2 years old now. It hasn't been touched. I haven't had any problems at all.
So the championship win is all you really wanted?
It is, yes. Yeah, definitely.
A good friend of mine, Eric Hendrickson, asked me to race his car for a couple of sort of guest meetings, and I enjoyed the series. I liked the profile of the thing. I like the organisation, the people involved. I'm not a particular Porsche buff, and it was really the series really that attracted me rather than the car.
Well, now you've driven them, what about them as a car?
Well, I think they're fantastic. I mean, the grip on them, the amazing thing, once you get the Porsche style of driving, particularly with a 911, you know, I think they're amazing. I mean, they're slightly odd, and that's what makes them appealing. They just have a unique character.
After 12 hard races in the 1990 BFGoodrich Championship, then Barry Williams wins Class A. Mike Jordan indeed did finish second in the class from Tony Dron, Robin Gray, Brian Robertson and Chris Millard. Bob Berridge claims Class B from Steve Kevlin, Vic Ferguson, Dave Warnock, Mike Walker and Hugh Price. Serge Davis, the Class C victor from Paul Edwards, David Lees, John Fletcher, Mike Clapham and Malcolm Sargent. And overall and Class D champion is Keith Norman, who wins the class from Dave Lentle, Paul Hogarth, John Hodgson, Dave Bowden and Trevor Messett. In its 6th season, the Porsche Club Championship has once again produced superb racing, and we look forward to more of the same in 1991.